I've been single for nearly a decade. Now, when people find out that that you've been single for so long, sometimes they might think it's been weird. I mean, literally 8 years. It gets hard. It gets really hard. My standards are really high, but it's not just for me; it's for my daughter as well. I take being a parent incredibly serious. I take my life seriously. I'm not frivolous with myself, and I won't allow chaos into either our lives. We both deserve better. We've both suffered our own trauma. Um, I've had to go through a family call. It's been an absolute nightmare at times, our life. And when you see her, you on the face of it, on the outside, you probably won't even predict the life she's experienced. But if you heard from her, you would. Um, so I did this little montage video just now onto TikTok. I took the sound off for the sake of copyright. But, she's a free spirit. She's pretty much has a very similar personality to me. We're very similar. And our bond is incredible. She's um, like my little soulmate. It's incredible. I'm very fortunate. But there's another side, of course, the romance side that's missing in my life. And like I say, it's been a long time. But most of my time has been taken up with her and me following creative pursuits with my books, the video content I do, and really trying to just share my story to help inspire others to overcome similar issues. But I have been blessed with one of the best blessings you could ever have. I take having a child incredibly serious, and I've always said, like, with regard to her, that the proof is in her. People might question this, they might question that, and I'm always like, well, the truth is her, and I'm very proud, incredibly proud of her, and the role I've played in her development. I've been there for everything. I've prioritized her with absolutely everything. I've walked away from jobs to prioritize our time together. I've traveled the length of the country back and forth to maintain our relationship. Always be there for her, so she always knows she can rely upon me. So yeah, there's certain sides of my life missing, just like there is for other people. And maybe it's been an incredibly extended period that is debilitating at times, and I get really lonely. Some of the things I recognized as she was growing up was I don't want her to suffer with sort of holding her life back, so at the detriment of her own, because she feels I need her. That's one thing I always teach her. No, 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 no. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. It literally brings me joy to know that she's good. So, like, if she wants to go, I've even said to her recently, like, when the holidays come, because she's getting more sociable, and it's nice. It's nice to see her growing up. So I've even said to her that when the holidays come round, if you have plans with your friends, or you just want to spend time with them, like, like, I don't want you to feel like, oh, but I've got to spend time with my dad. She's like, no, no, no. I'm like, no, I'm just saying to you though, that if you do want to spend time with them, it's not going to upset me. Like, as long as you're happy, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. It's nice. So that's something I do. I don't put the weight of myself on her. I don't want her ever to feel like she has to hold her life back to somehow make me happy, because my happiness comes from seeing her happy. And when I look at my life, I'm like, that was a good period of my life, like, where I dedicated myself to raising her. So with that in mind, like, I find people bouncing in and out of relationships too much, and often at the detriment of their children. My priority's always been my daughter's up here. Like, she is my world, and it'll take someone incredibly special to come into our lives. Like, it's not just my life; it come into our lives. Um, Sometimes you think you might have met someone, but it's never, like, it hasn't worked out, hasn't even developed to anything, and it's like sometimes it's demoralizing, because you think, it'd be nice to be in love, like I said, but I would never risk her not being happy either. And at the same time, I just won't have chaos brought upon us. I speak, I'm quite vocal on topics, and I can be very outspoken. So in that sense, some of the things I do, as much as I absolutely love her and she is my world, I feel like I have a bigger purpose that goes beyond the both of us. Some people might find it quite um, crazy, really, that I don't bring chaos into our lives in terms of people, but I will be outspoken on certain topics which can cause maybe issues. But like I said, I think sometimes some things go beyond us. Like, if I can help a lot of people by telling our story, and it helps someone else maybe not go through something or help them go through it, then I feel like it's my duty to do that. So when I write my books, for instance, and I talk about and I talk publicly about topics and even my insecurities, even the things I'm going through, which may include part of her story. Sometimes I feel like it has to happen though. Like if I won't talk upon it, who will? Like I have the confidence to do so. I'm able to articulate our story, the message, and I feel I can deliver it in a unique way that maybe only I can. So I do, whether it's the videos, whether it's my books. But it's been like 8 years, a very tough 8 years of our life, because hers hasn't been any easier than mine. We're both had to adapt in our own way. She's had to adapt to social circumstances at school, frictious home life. I'm not going to go too deep into it. It's for her story to tell, and I've told it enough. I don't want to keep drilling it in when she's she's growing up, and I know it's beautiful to witness it. But there's other sides, of course. Like within that period, like you just saw there, I've done 6 books. I'm currently editing the next one. I've still got audio books to finish doing. I've got so many projects in me, creative pursuits. But I've also done like manual jobs. So I've done like warehouse, forklift, and things like this in that period. And then some of them have been off and on. Maybe I've left maybe I've left a position to prioritize her because maybe somewhere won't let me have a holiday. And it's like I'm seeing her regardless. It's not a request, it's the demand. I'm having that time off. Other times it's I've got a book to do and I really want to get this done. And this is part of a legacy. And I consider a legacy far more important than the immediate circumstance. I can struggle in financial destitution. Like my daughter, for instance, was laughing. We were talking about it yesterday. Her friends, that she's got a really nice core group of friends, but they said that they're not saying it to be mean. It's just a personal reflection. They make the point that she's poor, but they're not doing it to be cruel. They're just trying to understand her circumstances because, like, when she's at home with her mum, they don't have a car and they don't have a dishwasher. So they're like, "Well, you don't even have a car," and then they started saying, "Look, you can't. You have to wash your dishes." And it's just funny to hear it because as people, they weren't doing it to be rude. I have a car and a dishwasher, but even I am like my finances are terrible. But it's like your finances don't define who you are, and I think that's an important lesson because they see how incredible that she is, which is why they're friends with her. Um, and I know how incredible she is, and I don't think anyone witnessing her would think less of her because she doesn't have or she doesn't come from privilege or money. And that's not to put anyone down that is, because they have their own issues. A lot of time, not everybody, but a lot of people, when they come from money, they don't have that personal connection or that close intimacy with their parent. They don't have that growing up, so they can't confide in them. There's no support. They can't open up and feel comfortable. Whereas my daughter can tell me absolutely anything. As soon as she had a boyfriend, straight away she's like asking me whether she should ask him and all these things, and I'm involved in all of it, like hearing it, and it's just beautiful. And that's the relationship we have, though. It's like, but we've built that, and it's been throughout our whole lives, and it's like I always talk about this, like money doesn't define anything. It really doesn't. It's just sometimes it can be a curse rather than a blessing, depending on how you use it and how whether it controls you or you control it. But that's something you could acquire in time at any moment. Like you never know when something picks up and your money improves. But I think our moral compass, I think, is more important than everything. So your personality is absolutely everything, and that's the one thing that shouldn't be able to be bought. Some people can be tempted by other things, as you see with me. I can't, so I will give up finances, like stable finances, for other things because it means more to me. The money is a byproduct; it's not the end result. So if something means more to me, I'm following that. My daughter is my priority. I'm following that. It's just if I've got the projects I'm doing, they're going to follow that. So although it's been 8 years of feeling lonely in one area, I've had an awful lot of love in another area. But I've also been very proud of my growth. For instance, let's say I've been through 2017. It was family court, dealing with. I'm not going to keep talking about it, but her mother took her away abruptly. So she's had this alienation that she's had to go through, and I've fought tooth and nail to maintain our relationship. And I travelled the country back and forth for years doing this. And that was a big part of my life. Like, so people, like, you see people just jump in and out of relationships. I didn't even have time to jump in and out of relationships. I was forever, like, exhausted. I was having to just constantly travel up and down the country. For me, that was like, she was my world. She is my world. Like, There's nothing else counters that, you know? And time does go forward. You don't sometimes you don't notice it. Like, obviously, you notice that you could do with a companionship, of course, you know, I would absolutely love that, but I do recognise with the wrong person, it's a heavier weight than loneliness. It really is. That's like true loneliness when you're not even happy in the company of others. It's like, I don't want that, so I'm very selective of who will come on our journey. And like I say, time just seems to envelop upon itself. So you could, you know, it's 8 years, but it's like, God damn, I've done a lot in 8 years, and I don't even reflect. You know, 2 years, a year and a half, nearly 2 years of family court. And immediately the year after family court, I released my very first book. So I become an author because I recounted the story, like what happened. And then after that, every year there's been another book. There's been a book, different topics, of course. Personal growth, a spiritual awakening, and like the trauma with my daughter, that what happened there. But I think, yeah, nothing's gone to waste. There's been growth all the time. So if someone hears that you've been single or alone for maybe nearly a decade, it can sound really terrible. Like you think, oh damn, that's a nightmare. But I've been very distracted in the process too. You know, there's been a lot. And it's amazing what you can cope with. But the reality is, it's important that we value ourselves. It really is. That's the one thing everybody needs to be able to do. We can't. It's not about being defined by other people's sort of perceptions and variables, you know, the things that they consider important. And it's like sometimes they do. Sometimes people posture with someone and it makes them feel tough and strong and big and powerful. And it's like, yeah, but you're only powerful because you have that person next to you. How strong are you without them? That says a lot about your character. And it's okay to have moments of weakness. And that's why I share everything. I was talking to my daughter about it recently. I said, there's a reason to everything I do. And she said she's seen some of the content I've done where I'm upset, I'm lonely, I'm frustrated. And I said to her, I said, to be honest, I still feel that erratic now. Like I'm still like I said, but when it was my birthday, I didn't want to talk to anyone. And I explained it to her because she wanted to talk to me on my birthday. And I was like, I think it was like a midlife crisis intertwined with all this as well. I said, so I explained to her that like, you know, it's my birthday. I didn't want to put a fake smile on, and I didn't want to ruin your day. I just want you to be happy. Like, it's okay for me to have moments. Um, and I said, the reason I do the videos, for instance, is to empower people to show them. If we don't show people our vulnerable side, then it doesn't give them like license to be similar. You know, some people if you have role models who always perceive to be doing great, it's really hard to cope through circumstances when you're struggling, when you feel low, when it just feels like a lost cause because you've got no one as an example to show it's okay to feel this way. It's normal to have these moments. If no one shows that side, then there's no way of knowing. And then you might feel a bit odd. You might feel a bit so far from success, from being happy. And I've shown the dynamicism of all of it. You know, it's like the ups, the downs. How proud I am. My daughter, I am so proud of her, her growth, her whole personality, who she is. She has so much humility and compassion. It's incredible. But she's finding so much confidence and love of herself, which is really one of the things I've been ingraining in her since childhood. And watching all of those sort of lessons and everything, it's like come to fruition. You know, to see her grow and blossom is incredible. So from that side, I'm like really proud. Like, I know I've done my job as a parent and I couldn't have done it any better. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm blessed to have had her. Believe me, she's incredible. But I know in what I've done, I know I've done great. I know I have. By extension, when I look at my book projects, my creativity, I think I've done great with that. I've pushed myself further than I could have ever dreamed of. I never thought for a million years I'd write a book. I always wanted to, never thought it would happen. Who would have thought I could achieve that accomplishment, you know? But on top of that, I've also had the confidence to share myself with the world. I've been vulnerable. You know, I've shared my ambitions, a lot of things that people wouldn't want to talk about because they could try to destroy what you try to build. People could try to manipulate. And it's like, I refuse to bow to any of that. It's like, I will do it the hard way if I have to, but I will be doing it my way. And I will talk on topics that maybe other people are terrified of going there. I will share my vulnerability when others maybe are scared to be vulnerable. The reality is, I love who I am. So I'm not scared in showing every side of me. Like I say, some people, your confidence can be perceived as arrogance, and maybe there is a level of arrogance intertwined within there. I don't consider myself arrogant at all. I think if I was arrogant, there'd be other traits that would come out, and it certainly wouldn't be one of trying to help people or be vulnerable. But I'm not going to validate things. It's up to people how they perceive it. Of course, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, I absolutely am. I love who I am. I love my personality, and for that, it makes it easy for me to step out into from the crowd and just show me as I am. And hopefully, people will take things off it, even if there is a level of arrogance and people don't like that. Then people will maybe reflect on their life and think, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to behave that way." Then great, because that's what I want. I want people to reflect on their own life and see the value in themselves and recognize that maybe sort of some of the things you do, maybe you thought was abnormal, but the more you see other people, maybe you think it's quite normal. It's quite normal, I think too many people rely on other people too much in love to fill a void, and it's more important that you value and cherish yourself, and you have a high standards. Like I say, like for my daughter and me, we deserve the absolute best. I will not even consider anyone that I don't think is even a life I could build. It's like the term come up recently, and it was dating for marriage. Only interested in dating for marriage. That's who I am. That's exactly what it is. I'm not interested in one night stands, all these things. That breeds chaos. I want more for us than that. So if that's all that's on the table, I am not interested in that. That's no good to me. If someone wants me, it's just because they see my skills as a parent, and maybe they see how wonderful my daughter is. It's like, I don't want to be with someone that just sees me as a parent, though. I want someone that falls in love with me for who I am, and all the other things I can do is like a bonus. That'd be nice. And that's what I seek. So my standards are incredibly high. But when I look at like the 8 years that have been, it's been relentless. It's like every year's heavy. Like I can tick off all the things I've achieved, but a lot of time, unless people saw the story as it developed, you wouldn't know how heavy it's been, because it's easy to look at accomplishments like it was easy. My daughter growing up and turning into this incredibly young woman, you would think, looking at that, oh, I bet he had it easy. I fought for family call. I was in tears. I was a shell of who I am today. My daughter was a mess. She was really upset. It was like painful to witness with no control because the court has the situation in their hands. Then you've got people making lies and false accusations, literally serious false accusations to fit a narrative for their own agenda at the detriment not only of my mental health, but also my daughter suffering too from parental alienation. We've had this parental separation. So although our bond is strong, and I've been there as much as I possibly can, and I've been relentless like a steam train, maybe people that haven't followed the story or not with us all the way, they won't realize how hard those moments of separation truly were. That we're that close, we're that tight, our connection is beautiful. So when we're ripped apart, it hurts. It hurts a lot. It hurts both of us. So people won't realize the trauma that goes, because maybe I explain it a little bit, but I only have so much time, and I'm more focused on overcoming rather than dwelling. But, I'll reflect upon it, but I don't know if anyone would truly understand the depths of despair that would cause. Um, the loneliness I feel quite often because I only get spend time with my daughter in the holidays. It used to be weekends and holidays, and that got reduced to holidays. We're so far other end of the country at this point. It's so hard. So there's long periods where I'm left with just myself. Life sort of blossoms when she's around. It's like, this is the life. This is my happiest. That's when I'm at my purest, my happy moment. Then I have to find a way to cope with the loneliness where the life you built, the life you cherish, is taken away from you repeatedly. Unless you go through it, it's really hard for anyone, I think, to really understand that level of loneliness. Like, it is heartbreaking. It really is. It's like part of your heart just gets taken away from you. Now, watching her develop, it's great for me because I get to see sort of her growing, but I still have my life sort of to live too. And that was something I recognized maybe halfway through this process, maybe 4 years ago. Like I said, I looked and I just thought there's going to be a day where she goes off to college potentially, or she gets a job, or she starts dating people. All these things, and it's like I have to have a life too. So my life was her. So I'm trying doing all the travel. I'm committed to this. I'm committed to that. But I did have in the back of I started to have in the back of my mind. You need to build a life for you too, though, because it won't always be like this. And that was really important. And that's what I've been doing too. So I've been building myself in terms of career. I've met incredible people along my way, but it seems to be short lived. So it just seems to be people like mentors, really, or sort of collaborations. But they're short lived, almost like you've got powerful people come together and then they just separate because, I don't know why. It just seems we all have a journey, of course. Um, but yeah, life has been hard. I've relocated home quite a distance. I've had jobs in the area. Like, I've had to step outside my comfort zone quite frequently. You're unfamiliar with the area, but you're jumping into workplaces. I'm then having like standing up for myself in workplaces against managers in a foreign place to me. Really, like it's like I don't have family around me. I'm very lonely, but I still stand up for myself and I still speak up on things. Um, and I'm not scared to withdraw myself from situations that I consider toxic. I don't care if I have to struggle, if it's financially or even just like a community. Because when you've got a workplace to go to, you've got people to talk to, have a laugh with, and it really helps. When you have nowhere to go, you withdraw a bit. Like me, I'm so creative though. Like it's I don't think anyone would truly understand how I am. Like I can literally go months alone, like a cave. Like I'm crazy like that. So it might be that I only put the bins out for like 3 weeks, and I don't, no one else to see me. It's like, but this is how I am. I can. I'm an introverted extrovert. I'm like both. Um, Anyway, yeah. My daughter's been talking about autism. Like some of her friends might think she might have autism because she gets bothered by some things, and I've always been bothered by certain things. Now, maybe I have. I don't see the point of getting diagnosed for some things though. But it may very well be that my way of thinking and the fact that my perception of the world and my consideration towards justice, like being so seriously important, maybe there is a level of autism in it. Like if you see me with headphones, I hate unnecessary sounds. I hate things that bother me. So I think, yeah, I probably do have some level of that just makes me sensitive to the world and things that actually bother me, and it raises my perception of it, and it really draws it to me, and then I have to address it because it bothers me that much. So perhaps, um, but really, I just wanted this video to be something to say for people to see, really, that on the one hand you can have a beautiful life, on the other hand you can suffer, and it's okay to acknowledge that. There'll be some people that have absolutely nothing, and I've seen that as well. When people have absolutely nothing, they almost like shame people for speaking up about their suffering. Like, oh, you don't know what it's like to. It's like, don't presume anything. Don't presume anything. I've lived like I'm 42 years old, and I've lived multiple lifetimes in the one life at this time. It gets heavy. Like I am fed up. In all honesty, of all the achievements and all the beautiful moments. Overall, I'm really fed up with where I'm at. I feel really frustrated. I do feel alone, and that's something that's coming out quite a lot lately. Alone, alone, alone. It's like life shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be that hard to meet someone. I was talking to my daughter recently about it because there was something come up, and it's like I said to her, it's like a pyramid. I said if you're low vibrational and you'll just accept chaos in your life, it's easy to like have friends and community because most people, so many people in this world are toxic. So it's easy to be chaotic and fit in with people, and you can have a load of those sort of people around you. When you start valuing yourself more and you have high levels of integrity, it gets harder and harder to find a community of those people. So the period I said it's lonely at the top. It's lonely at the top, and you don't realize until you start getting there. And a video come up recently, and it said, "You're alone. The reason you're alone, or you don't have many people around you, and it might be confusing as to why, because you're good with people and all these things." It said because you're the blueprint, you're the example set for others. And I thought, yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense. So it's really hard to find like-minded people. It's almost like, so I said to her, it's like you have to just get like I have to get comfortable with but this is the journey. Like my spiritual side will come out now, and I might as well share it because I said it to her as well because she understands all that. I get a lot of signs. This is my last lifetime. I've got big purpose to play in this lifetime. So it stands to reason that when we all have this human experience, we all desire what is typical of humans. So like we all want love, romance. Some people want marriage, some people don't. But overall, we all want to feel love in our life. And we all would love to have a relationship. You don't just have someone to share your moments with. So a huge part of us just craves that naturally. But maybe in previous lifetimes, I've had those moments. And maybe in this lifetime, my whole purpose and journey is to set an example for others, help other people overcome trauma, help people find the love of themselves. And maybe love and things like that for me are a bonus. It may happen, it may not happen, but maybe that's not the whole purpose for me being here. So somehow I need to stop myself dwelling on it, get rid of that sort of social conditioning of this is what you need. It'd be a nice thing to have, but maybe my life journey isn't about that. So if I've let that go and focus heavily on the other side of things, maybe I can have a bigger impact and things will improve faster. Because I do hold myself back when I have these moments where I feel really low because I reflect upon life. It feels unfair, and it's like this is torment. It's torture. It really is, and I don't think people would understand quite the depths that really nags, that really gets to me. It can bring me to my knees, and it's self-deprecating. But the other side of that is I have this ability to transcend it quite quickly because all that energy, all that pain, that frustration, the loss, the misery, it can get washed away because I can just start working on my project. I just get my book that I'm working on, and I can just start putting everything in pain into power, and all of a sudden, I'm creating something beautiful from a lot of heartache. And then once I've achieved that, it's like that's an achievement. Well done, you. So soon, like for instance, there is two other books. I've just not in this photo, but soon there'll be yet another one, and it'll be like again, I put the pain into power. And I think on some level, maybe that's just what I'm here to do. And again, it gets lonely at the top. So I have to just get used to that. You don't always get recognition, of course. Recognition may come in a different lifetime when I'm no longer here, but you come here to fulfill a purpose. So just get on fulfilling it. And I feel sometimes that's the case as well. That's not to be sort of crude or anything. It's not to say that other people suck it up to get on. It's not a case of that at all. It's find what matters to you in your own life. We haven't all got the same story to tell. We haven't all got the same legacy, the same life journey. So just because I'm aware of mine, it doesn't invalidate someone else staying low when they're suffering, because life is hard. And I think something else to recognize just at the end of this is it's really important not to compare to each other. One thing I did say to my daughter was yesterday, actually, I said, because she's happy, she's got like a community now. She's got a boyfriend, she's got friends, and all these things. I said, whatever you do in life, I said, because it's easy when you're doing well for yourself to look down at other people. I said, don't ever, if you ever see anybody's alone, never ever like mock them or joke about that because you know what it's like to be alone as well. And it's really important you have compassion for people, because it's not a nice place to be when someone's alone, and there's usually there could be any reason for it. And she goes, "Oh, I would never do that." I said, "Look, we'll have the capacity to, because we banter a lot, and I can be like that sometimes. Like I'm not perfect, but it's really important that we don't devalue someone's life, or diminish anything. And it's like someone might not have a good job, but it's important you don't mock someone's job. If someone's doing something and they're earning like an honest living, you shouldn't. That shouldn't be laughed or mocked. It doesn't matter what you do in life as long as it's honest. So maybe it's not prestigious. Maybe it's something that you could laugh about. And it's like, they're doing something honest. They're not doing anything at the expense of others. They're not, it's just, I think respect that. I talk about that a lot where everybody who works hard gives a part of themselves to something. They deserve to have a decent quality of life, I think too many people go to work and they're just existing. They're surviving because they can only just pay their bills, and that shouldn't be the case at all. When you give yourself to anything, a large portion, you should be able to sustain a decent quality of life, and that's where I think like the like wages and the cost of living and things, it doesn't match reality. It's unreal. It's just it doesn't match reality on any level. I just don't understand it at all. Everybody should be thriving, who are pushing themselves to do more with their lives. So yeah, like I say, it's been nearly a decade of being alone, but there's a mirage of reasons as to why. If I was to lower my expectations and attach myself to chaos, my life could take a different course, of course. But when I look at what I'm achieving, I'm thinking it's worth it, isn't it? Like personally, I've got these books coming out every year. A chaotic person would just slow me down. I'm watching my daughter grow and develop into an incredible woman, and I think those two accomplishments in themselves are just it's a life well lived. I think I'm proud. I'll get lonely, but I'm incredibly proud.